Welcome back to our channel, your ultimate destination for the most breathtaking, heart-stopping, and deeply analytical updates from the dramatic world of daytime television. Today is a spectacular day to delve into the darkest shadows of Los Angeles, where long-buried secrets refuse to stay hidden and the truth is more terrifying than fiction. Let us unravel this monumental and spine-chilling new chapter together. The bustling, vibrant atmosphere of Il Giardino has always served as a sanctuary of exquisite Italian cuisine, romantic encounters, and the lively clatter of wine glasses. Above ground, under the warm California sun, Deacon Sharp has built a respectable empire, a testament to his hard-fought redemption and his ongoing romance with the brilliant psychiatrist Taylor Hayes. Yet, beneath the polished wooden floors and the cheerful ambient music of the dining room lies a subterranean world of cold stone, forgotten shadows, and chilling secrets. It is within this very damp, dimly lit wine cellar that the fabric of reality for several of Los Angeles's most prominent families is about to be violently and irrevocably torn apart. The descent into this darkness begins with a simple, innocent gesture, a quest for a rare vintage wine, but it ends in a psychological nightmare that will echo through the generations of the Forrester, Spencer, and Logan dynasties. Taylor Hayes, driven by a desire to celebrate her blossoming future with Deacon, makes her way down the narrow, creaking wooden stairs into the restaurant's expansive wine cellar. She is a woman who has survived insurmountable odds, having faced the barrel of a gun, the agonizing grief of lost children, and the relentless emotional warfare of her decades-long rivalry with Brooke Logan. As she steps onto the cold concrete floor, the air grows noticeably thinner, heavy with the suffocating scent of fermented grapes, ancient dust, and a strange, metallic underlying odor that feels entirely out of place in a restaurant storage room. The flickering, low-wattage bulbs cast long, distorted shadows across the endless racks of expensive bottles, creating an eerie, labyrinthine atmosphere. Taylor's footsteps echo softly in the cavernous space, her eyes scanning the labels, completely unaware that she is walking directly into the epicenter of a masterfully orchestrated horror show. As Taylor navigates deeper into the hidden recesses of the cellar, a sound reaches her ears that freezes the blood in her veins. It is not the scurry of a rodent or the dripping of a leaky pipe. It is the soft, rhythmic, and undeniably tender sound of a woman humming a lullaby. The melody is hauntingly familiar, sung in a low, soothing register that starkly contrasts with the oppressive gloom of the underground chamber. Driven by a mix of profound confusion and an innate, psychiatric curiosity, Taylor moves toward the source of the sound, rounding a massive oak wine barrel that obscures the furthest corner of the room. What she witnesses in that hidden enclave is a tableau of such unimaginable terror and impossibility that her brilliant, analytical mind momentarily fractures under the weight of the visual evidence. Sitting in a worn velvet armchair that has been dragged into the damp corner is Sheila Carter, the woman who has been the architect of Taylor's deepest traumas. The phantom who has haunted the Forrester family for decades is not scheming in the shadows or wielding a firearm. Instead, Sheila is gently, lovingly rocking a tiny, swaddled newborn baby in her arms. The sheer, terrifying juxtaposition of Los Angeles's most notorious and cold-blooded killer cradling fragile, innocent new life is enough to make Taylor gasp, her hand flying to her mouth to stifle a scream. Sheila's eyes, usually burning with a manic, destructive intensity, are focused entirely on the infant, a serene and disturbing smile playing across her lips. But the baby is only the first layer of this multi-tiered descent into absolute madness. Taylor's horrified gaze shifts from the infant in Sheila's arms to the space immediately adjacent to the armchair. There, hidden from the world above, is a fully functional, makeshift hospital bed. The rhythmic, mechanical hum of a portable medical monitor cuts through the silence, its green line tracking a steady, albeit weak, heartbeat. Intravenous fluid bags hang from a rusted metal pipe, their clear liquid dripping methodically into a tube connected to the arm of a patient lying motionless beneath a thin, white sheet. The medical setup is horrifyingly professional, a clandestine intensive care unit built in the bowels of a pizza restaurant. Taylor's eyes slowly travel up the length of the bed, dread pooling in her stomach, until they land on the pale, unconscious face of the patient. It is Luna Nozawa, the brilliant, beautiful young woman whose tragic, premature death had sent shockwaves of grief through the city, leaving her family devastated and her friends seeking answers in the dark. Luna, who had been mourned, wept over, and seemingly buried, is breathing. She is alive, trapped in a medically induced coma, her vibrant life force reduced to the slow rise and fall of her chest under the heavy sedation administered by her captor. The revelation strikes Taylor with the force of a physical blow. The entire narrative of Luna's demise, the tears shed by the Forresters and the Logans, the lingering mysteries that have recently plagued Melissa Dillon. It was all a grand, sickening illusion constructed by the sociopathic genius sitting just a few feet away. Sheila's head slowly turns, her sharp ears catching the sharp intake of Taylor's breath. The serene, maternal mask instantly vanishes, replaced by the calculating, predatory stare of a cornered beast. Sheila does not panic. She does not drop the baby or lunge for a weapon. Instead, she remains perfectly still, her voice slicing through the damp air with a chilling, conversational calmness. "I wondered how long it would take you to come snooping down here, Taylor," Sheila whispers, her tone dripping with a terrifying mixture of amusement and malice. She adjusts the blanket around the sleeping infant, her eyes never leaving Taylor's paralyzed form. Sheila then proceeds to coldly, methodically unravel the horrifying truth, delivering a monologue that systematically destroys every assumption Taylor held about the recent tragedies in Los Angeles. With a sociopathic pride, Sheila admits to the unthinkable. She meticulously details how she intercepted Luna, how she orchestrated the fake death with surgical precision, utilizing black market medical contacts and her own twisted ingenuity to make the world believe the young woman was gone forever. The motive, Sheila reveals with a triumphant sneer, lies sleeping peacefully in her arms. The baby is the biological child of Will Spencer. Luna had been hiding a secret pregnancy, carrying the heir to the Spencer publishing dynasty, a child whose existence would have fundamentally altered the power dynamics and romantic entanglements of the entire city. Sheila, ever the opportunist, saw not just a baby, but an ultimate insurance policy, a pawn of immeasurable value in her endless, psychotic chess game against the families who have rejected her. The implications of this revelation crash over Taylor like a tidal wave. Upstairs, completely oblivious to this dungeon of horrors, Deacon is pouring wine and smiling at customers, completely unaware that the woman he loves is harboring a kidnapped, comatose woman and a stolen infant beneath his feet. Across town, Will Spencer is currently embroiled in a bitter, emotionally exhausting feud with R.J. Forrester over the affections of Electra Forrester. Will is fighting desperately to rebuild a shattered romance, completely unaware that he is a father, that his flesh and blood is being held captive by a monster in a damp cellar. If this truth were to surface, it would obliterate R.J.'s manipulative hold over Electra, shatter Will's current reality, and ignite a war between the Spencers and Sheila Carter that would burn Los Angeles to the ground. But Sheila is not finished. As Taylor takes a trembling step backward, her psychiatric training screaming at her to de-escalate. To find an exit, Sheila's hand gracefully glides to a small metal tray resting on a wooden crate beside the armchair. Her fingers wrap around a pre-filled medical syringe, the clear liquid inside catching the dim light of the flickering bulb. Sheila holds the needle up, her eyes locking onto Taylor's with an absolute, uncompromising lethality. "This," Sheila explains, her voice dropping to a deadly whisper, "is a highly concentrated, lethal dose of potassium chloride. It stops the heart instantly. No pain, no prolonged suffering, just a sudden, permanent flatline. She slowly moves the needle until it is hovering mere millimeters above the rubber port of Luna's intravenous line. The threat is immediate, visceral, and entirely devoid of bluff. Sheila lays out the cruel, impossible ultimatum with the precision of a seasoned executioner. If Taylor screams, if she turns and runs up those wooden stairs to alert Deacon or call the police, Sheila will push the plunger. Luna Nozawa will die, truly and permanently, before Taylor can even dial the first digit on her phone. The baby will be orphaned, left in the hands of a madwoman, and Taylor will have to live the rest of her days knowing her actions directly caused the execution of an innocent young woman. However, if Taylor remains silent, if she turns around, walks back upstairs, and pretends she saw nothing but dusty bottles of Pinot Noir, Luna lives. The baby breathes. But Taylor becomes complicit in the most heinous, ongoing crime in the history of the city. Taylor's mind, a brilliant repository of psychological knowledge and human behavioral analysis, short-circuits. She is a healer, a mother who has lost children, a woman who has dedicated her life to saving others from mental and physical anguish. The Hippocratic oath beats loudly in her chest, demanding that she do no harm. But every conceivable action in this subterranean nightmare leads to catastrophic damage. She stares at the syringe, then at the pale, helpless face of Luna, and finally at the tiny, fragile bundle resting against Sheila's chest. The air in the cellar feels impossibly thick, suffocating her lungs, as the sheer weight of the moral dilemma threatens to crush her sanity. Sheila's eyes dance with a wicked, triumphant light, relishing the absolute power she holds over her greatest rival. The psychological warfare being waged in this dark corner is unparalleled. Sheila is not just holding Luna hostage. She is holding Taylor's morality, her professional ethics, and her very soul hostage. Taylor knows the history of the woman sitting before her. She remembers the cold steel of Sheila's gun in that dark alleyway years ago, the agonizing pain of the bullets tearing through her flesh, the years stolen from her children while she recovered in a coma. She knows that Sheila does not make empty threats. The woman who shot her own son, John Finnegan, and left him for dead will not hesitate for a fraction of a second to inject a lethal poison into a young girl's veins. The clinical detachment Taylor usually relies upon in moments of crisis has completely evaporated, replaced by a raw, primal terror. The silence that stretches between the two women is agonizing, broken only by the steady beep of the heart monitor and the soft cooing of the Spencer air. Taylor's eyes dart wildly toward the staircase, calculating the distance, the speed required to disarm Sheila, but she knows it is a futile equation. Sheila is closer to the line, her thumb already resting menacingly on the plunger. A physical confrontation would be a death sentence for Luna. The tragic irony of the situation is almost too much to bear. Taylor came down to the cellar to find a bottle of wine to celebrate a future free of Sheila Carter's influence, only to discover that Sheila has literally built a foundation of horror beneath her feet. As Taylor stands paralyzed in the gloom, the broader ramifications of this secret begin to unfold in her mind like a terrifying map. Melissa Dillon, currently terrified and blackmailed by Remy Price, is living under the shadow of Luna's supposed death. How does Remy fit into this? Did he help Sheila orchestrate the fake death? Is he aware that the girl he is using as leverage to torment Dillon is actually lying in a medically induced coma in I.L. Giardino's basement? And what of Bill Spencer, a man who would unleash the full, terrifying might of his wealth and power if he knew his grandchild was being held captive by a psychopath? The explosive potential of this secret is enough to destroy every family on the canvas, leaving nothing but collateral damage in its wake. Taylor's maternal instincts scream at her to protect the baby, to snatch the child from Sheila's tainted arms and run, but the syringe hovering over Luna's lifeline anchors her to the floor. She is trapped in a flawless, diabolical checkmate. Sheila's smile widens, sensing the exact moment Taylor's resolve begins to crack under the impossible pressure. "Make your choice, Dr. Hayes," Sheila taunts softly, the title a deliberate mockery of Taylor's helplessness. "Be a hero and watch this girl die, or be a good little secret keeper and go back to your pasta." The clock is ticking. The emotional flow of this confrontation is a masterclass in dramatic tension, shifting from the initial shock of discovery to a profound, paralyzing dread. Taylor is forced to confront the darkest corners of human nature, staring into the abyss of Sheila's soulless eyes. The rich imagery of the damp cellar, the flickering lights, the sterile medical equipment contrasting with the ancient wine barrels, creates an atmosphere of claustrophobic terror. Every labored breath Taylor takes feels like a betrayal. Every second she hesitates feels like a lifetime. The internal conflict tearing her apart is palpable, a battle between the righteous urge for justice and the desperate, primal need to preserve human life at any twisted cost. In this agonizing moment, the fate of Luna Nozowa, the future of the Spencer legacy, and the sanity of Taylor Hayes hang by a thread thinner than the needle in Sheila's hand. The world above continues to spin, oblivious to the monstrous reality unfolding below. Deacon pours another glass, while Spencer argues with R.J. Forrester, and Katie Logan revels in her fashion success, all while a stolen baby sleeps in the arms of a killer, and a brilliant psychiatrist is forced to make a choice that will inevitably damn her soul, no matter which path she takes. The darkness of the cellar seems to close in, swallowing Taylor whole as she stands at the